Grand Concourse 149th Street Station in the Bronx, graffiti writers gather at what they call the writer's bench.
Yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? Live from the Writer's Bench, another episode from your man Kill. Got my soldiers on deck tonight. We got Episdoe, Ev, JP. What's going on, y'all?
What up?
Yo, we got a special guest on the bench sitting in with us tonight. One of our biggest supporters, one of our subscribers, my man Nick. This dude is always looking out, posting stuff everywhere. Big support system. We appreciate you, fam. Just good looking for chopping it up with us tonight, taking time out your night, man.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad y'all have me, man.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
In. The young buck, ready to chime in.
No doubt. Yo, let's jump right into it. Yo, we took a week off. We took a week off because Kendrick Lamar album dropped. And to me, this is you had to give this a minute to really sink in. To me, this wasn't something you just jump in, just go at it. So we took a week off for everybody to digest it, get it in the system. Everything like that. So we're going to talk about Kendrick's album. We're going to talk about the word classic and how it's thrown around within 2 seconds of an album dropping. We're going to talk about the new way that cats are dropping music. We're going to chop it up about a lot, but it's really going to be the Pimp A Butterfly is really a lot about what's going on with the night. So, yo, I'm going to set it off with this. Here's the first question. When you first heard To Pimp A Butterfly, what was your first initial reaction after your first couple of listens? How did you feel about it? And we just gonna stay right there. We're gonna go into how you feel about it 2 weeks later. But what was your first initial reaction? Rap Lover, you with us tonight, bro? What's good?
What's up? I'm good. I'm here. What's going on?
There it is. So, yo, Nick, you the special guest of the week. You set us off. What was your reaction after you first heard How to Pimp a Butterfly?
The first reaction, I loved it immediately. I'm just proud that a young cat came with that kind of content with the platform, at the level he at, on that mainstream level. I loved it. From the production, like the funk, the jazz, the soul that's on there. You got Bilal on there and stuff. I dug it. All the way around, I dug it. The only thing I didn't like, though, Pete Rock didn't have a beat. They just used him for like a hook and scratch. Ain't that. That's the only thing I didn't like about it.
All right, Ev, so what was your take, first hearing the Pimp A Butterfly? What was your first initial reaction to it?
My first initial response, I heard it when you sent the file. I think it was that Monday, and it was the edited version. And I was at work, but I was in an area where I could actually play it. So I was at work. I was playing through the speakers, but I'm working while I'm listening to it. So I get to maybe, let me see, I probably get to track 6, 7, maybe 6, 7, or 8, something like that. And to be honest with you, I was like, all right, it felt like it was a lot of content and it was kind of lagging a little bit. So my first initial was like, I don't know, it's different. It's real different, but I knew I had to give it a second listen. You want me to keep going or just talk about the first initial?
No, we just doing first listen right now.
So my first initial was like, I don't really know if I'm really feeling it or not, but I know I gotta take some time because I know I'm moving around, I'm doing stuff. I really gotta take some time and really sit on it for a minute. But yeah, that was my thing. That's what happened.
All right, and what about you, Episdoe?
Man, I was kind of the same way. I mean, we touched briefly when you sent it to me initially, because you were telling me how Cass was already calling it a classic, and that was, you told me that was after I had listened to it. But yeah, my initial response was, it's okay. And I mean, you kind of hit me in the head with, this like spoken word, so that sent up a red flag for me, because I don't rock with spoken word. Oh, this the only thing I hate more than spoken word is house music, though. When I heard this spoken word, but I loved the intro to the album. I do love the way the album starts off, because I think it is momentous, where it's like it's at least projecting an image that this is about to be some groundbreaking, next level type of shit you're gonna hear. You know what I mean? And that, that can seem like something small, but to me that is a big deal, man, because it kind of prepares your ear and your mind for what you think you're about to hear, at least, what you hope you're gonna hear. But after listening to it the first time, I was just kind of, it's cool. I preferred the first album over the second one when I first, comparing the two reactions or whatever, at least.
Right. What about you, JP?
I loved it. You know what I'm saying? You know, we spoke about it for a minute, but I loved it. I felt, because, you know, when you first hear the album, like, I don't process lyrics right away. Like, I process the entire sound and feel of it. So I thought it was, I loved it. Like, I was like, oh, he's going in another type of direction. Like, he's letting that artistry take over or whatever. So I definitely loved how it sounded first listen.
All right. Yeah, and I think for me, it was the same thing, kind of like Ev. I was kind of thrown by it at first, and it kind of, me listening to it made me, it'll go into our second question, but it was Sunday night. I was tired as hell. I was about to go to bed. It's almost midnight. I'm on Twitter. I see something like, yo, it's out there. I get my hands on it, and I'm so tired. I'm just like, yo, I need to just go to bed, and I'll listen to this in the morning. But then the hip-hop nigga in me is like, yo, you can't have the new Kendrick Lamar and not listen to it right now. So I was like, all right, I'm going to listen to it right now, but I'm tired. And it was the same thing like F said. You know, I was like, yo, it was songs I like. You know, it was a lot of shit going on. It was a lot to process. And I'm just like, it's 2 in the morning. My brain ain't ready for this to even process this. So my first initial listen was, you know, it wasn't what I was ready for. I think my ears were ready for, you know, Good Kid, Mad City Part 2. You know, I was ready for some stuff like that. And when I didn't get that, I always use the analogy, like, you know, you go out to dinner, you ask the waiter for a Sprite, he bring you a water by mistake, but, you know, when you taste it, it don't taste good because you wanted that Sprite, but ain't really nothing wrong with the water, you know what I mean? But you just had your taste buds ready for the Sprite, so you kind of got to give it a minute. But what made me think about that was, and wanted to ask you guys is, how do you guys digest new music? Like, do you have to listen to it at a certain time or place, or where's your, and we get off topic for a quick sec, but like, I know for me, going to work, I know for me that's not a good time to listen to new music, because going to work, I'm trying to get to work in a peaceful state and not, you know, curse nobody out on the way there when I get there. So I need to listen to music that I know, music I can rap along with, sing along with, music that's gonna get me in a good mood, versus putting in a new album and it just screws up my whole day because I'm like trying to learn. So do y'all have like a certain time or day, or does it not even matter? Like, where's your favorite place to listen to new music, or does it not even matter to anybody else? What about you, Bezo?
It's funny because for me, you know, I'm home during the day with the little girl, so, and she loves music, you know what I mean? She loves Stevie Wonder, James Brown, Wu-Tang, whatever, you know what I mean? So I can play the unedited version around it, which is what I did. But preferably for me, I either listen to it in my headphones or in the whip. You know what I mean? That's why I digest some music. So although I was playing it, you know, during the day with my daughter running around or whatever, you know, that night I went back in and listened to it with the headphones, and then I took a ride or whatever for like a half hour, and was listening to it in the car and shit. So it's like, that's probably my best way, not just this, but with any like, I get some new shit, I'm putting it on the iPod, I'm running out to the whip and taking a ride. You know what I mean? That's my thing. So I don't really have a time or place. It's just I have certain abilities to listen to music during the day. If there's no cursing, I can listen to it all day around my daughter. So I don't really have like a set place, but the whip is like, that's my place, because it's just me and the whip. I can crank it up and nod my head. And that's, for cats like us in the 80s, that was how you listen to beats. You know what I mean? When you did a beat, you recorded, you went out to the car, throw it in the whip. If it don't sound right in the whip, you gotta go back and do it over, do the mix or whatever over, because it gotta sound tight in the whip. So I guess I'm still stuck in that mode, kind of.
Right. Nah, that's like that. Like you said, I remember hearing stories, Primo coming from D&D, you go straight to the MPV and then drive out to Brooklyn and blast it. Like, if that was the testing zone. What about you, Nick? Where's your spot to listen to music at?
Me, I really don't get to digest new music until the weekend. Like, between work and, you know, hitting the gym throughout the week, so at home, headphones, like around 10ish at night. That's like my time to digest, like really take in the new music.
Right. What about you, JP?
I think for me, I think it depends on what I'm digesting. Like, if it's an artist I'm really looking forward to, I will sit down. I'll sit down right here and listen through my speakers. And if I got the time, I'll just sit there and listen to. I may get on the computer, but I'll just listen to the speakers. But if if it's somebody I'm not really excited about, but somebody, yo, you gotta hear this, I'll take a listen, but I won't listen seriously. I'll be doing other stuff, not paying attention until something catch my ear. You know what I'm saying? I won't analyze it as hard. But like Bezo said, when I'm in the whip, like I can always tell how much I like a song, or how much I like an album by how much I play it in my car, because I'm in my car a lot, and you know what I'm saying, if I always go back to that album or whatever, that's the album for me. So.
All right. What about you, Al?
For me, because I'm in New York, man, it's all about the commute. So on the train, or on the bus, anywhere I'm out in the world. So for me, it's like pair of headphones on. Either I'm on a train, or if I'm on a crosstown bus, or I'm just like walking somewhere in the world out here in the city. That's the best place for me to listen to it, because then I can really hear it, and I can really like feel it in an environment. Like people are moving around, things are happening. So for me, that's like the best place for me to listen to new stuff. And a lot of times, it's usually going and coming from work. That's usually where like I can really like kind of soak it up. But anytime I'm just on the train or going down to going deep into the city or something like that, that's always good for me to just like vibe out.
Right. And I don't want cats really thinking that it's too far off. And the reason why I was asking that question is because I think a lot of people, I asked some of my peoples that I rock with, and they really never really thought about it like that. And I know that me trying to listen to a new album going to work sometimes gave that album a disservice, because I didn't realize, at that time and point, like, this isn't the best time for me to listen to this right now. Like JP said, like I'm not able to give it my full attention. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of cats, I feel like, and we're going to go into after 2 weeks of digesting this, do you feel any differently about the album? But I feel like from what I've seen on Twitter and what people are telling me, my people texting me and calling me, you either love this album or you hate this album. There's really not too much middle ground with this album. I got my man hit me today like, yo, this is straight trash. You know what I'm saying?
Kendrick joint?
What happened? Yeah. I mean, and I was talking to Eb earlier, and I was like, one of my people, some shout out my man Q from Twitter. He hit me up like, yo, this like Electric Circus. And I'm like, my dude, you going you going over the edge now with this. I'm like, my God, pump your brakes. This ain't no Electric Circus. I get if you don't like it, but come on, man. Now you're just being disrespectful now. And I begged him. I said, yo, man, please listen to it again. Like, really allow yourself to digest this. What's up, Bezo?
Pardon me for the ignorance, but what the fuck is Electric Circus, man?
Common album.
That's a common album, yeah.
Okay.
Like it,
oh, yeah.
What I felt about it is I'm like, what the hell? I'll get to my electric relaxation and shit. I'm just giving it props. Like,
for everybody out there, you can tell Bezo is not a big Common fan. Common is not in his deck of cards right now to go out. So that's what that is. But yeah, that's what it was. And to me, it's absolutely. And I've tried this. I've gone back to Electric Circus throughout the years to try to re-listen and try to make sure I didn't miss nothing, and I didn't. To me, it's just a horrible album.
Wait, off topic real quick. Do you think that's Common's worst album?
I never heard that. I never heard that Mind State album, the joint he did like with Pharrell. Like after there was an album like that was in between.
It was.
It's an album he had out there when he was rapping over Planet Rock or whatever like that. I never even heard that. So, I don't know why you feel that that's his.
There was an album. He had it was after B and all that. I think it was like Universal.
Find It Forever.
That's the joint I'm talking about.
That's the joint you're talking about?
Yeah.
Universal Mind Control. Yeah.
Yeah, Universal Mind Control. I never heard that because just from the single I was like, see you back.
Good for you. That was his worst album.
Wow.
That
was worse than Electric Circus.
Without question.
Well, Electric Circus, I mean, some people love that album, man. It depends who you talk to. That thing is.
You know what? That could be a show because I know a lot of people love the album strictly because of Dilla. And you can't say nothing bad about Dilla. But that's a whole other topic. But back to this. What do y'all think? But the moral about Q was eventually he came around, he hit me back, and he was like, "You right, fam. The album's incredible." You know what I mean? But you had to take that time to digest it and everything like that. So okay, Nick, 2 weeks in to Pimp A Butterfly, what do you think about it now? Do you still think it's dope? Do you think it's worse? Do you think it's gotten better? How do you feel about it 2 weeks later?
I feel the same way when I first heard it. I still think it's great. It's a great album. But I mean, like, after multiple listens, it's only like 5 songs that stay on repeat. So I can't remember the last time I listened to the whole album. So yeah, it's like 5 songs, like These Walls, Hood Politics, The Complexion Joint, How Much a Dollar Costs. Like when I'm in the whip, those are how much a dollar costs is my joint though.
Yeah.
I think it's a great. I think because we older too though. I think we've heard a lot of great albums. This wouldn't be in my top 10 or 30 of all time. Nowhere
we gotta go to that question too, because I done heard some folk talk about this done made it in a top 5. I'm like, damn, my nigga ain't even been out 2 weeks and it already knocks off the life out. Like, damn.
Yeah.
All right, so JP, what about you? How do you feel about the album? 2 weeks in, digested everything about it, giving it time to listen to the lyrics. What do you think about it right now?
Yo, I really, really love this album. Like, when we spoke about it after it first came out, I had my certain opinions, and I still feel strong about it, maybe even stronger now. Like, I really felt like he more so, he rhymes, he got the lyrics in there or whatever, but I felt like he more so let his artistry take over. Like, that was more so a factor for him than actually being the best MC. Like, he let the artistry in him take over on this album, and you could see. And somebody tweeted something, and it made great sense to me. Like, Good Kid, Mad City was like a John Singleton movie, i.e. Boys in the Hood. But this is more like a Spike Lee movie. You know what I'm saying? Like Do the Right Thing or something like. And it makes total sense to me. Like, that's what I feel from this album. So I you know what I'm saying? I think I love where he went on this album. Like, he took it, to a whole different place for me than the first, like, a totally different than the first album.
Right.
I actually think it's more cohesive. I actually think this album is more cohesive.
All right. So what about you? 2 weeks in, digested it. What do you think about this joint?
About the same as when I first heard it. There's a couple more joints that, that are cool or whatever, but personally, it's okay. I'm not trashing it. I don't think, Electric Circus, however bad that shit was, judging from y'all's reaction, it must have been pretty bad. I would have put it in that category. But I was talking about it with my son, because, my son is a real big Kendrick dude. And, he said to me, he was like, yeah, Dad, he's like, I know your tastes. He's like, you're going to like some joints, but you're not going to love this album like you did the first one. And this is after I'd already heard it. He was saying this to me. And, after I delved into a little bit deeper, there's a couple of joints, man, where like his flow, his voice, the way he's rhyming, it just annoys the hell out of me, dog. It's like he's almost like yelling and talking real. It's just annoying as hell, and I can't get past that shit. But as the album gets on, as it progresses, the songs towards the end of the album, I do like in particular. Like, I like the Black of the Berry, The Complexion, How Much a Dollar Costs, Hood Politics. Those are my favorite joints off the album. And like I said, the intro I really, really, really like. But the rest of it, it doesn't really move me much, man, at all. It doesn't, and I say that because, like what you said about people, putting it's like there's no in between. To me, it kind of resembles like an old Beatnuts type of album in terms of there's some good joints on it, but in terms of an album, it ain't gonna, there's no Beatnuts album that compares to M.A.A.d. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. You wouldn't put them albums in the same category, but you wouldn't say the Beatnuts album was straight whack. It's just like, yeah, it's a good album, and there's some joints in there that I love type of shit. I can't even say I love the joints that I like off of this album. They cool, but I feel like, now bear with me, and I said this to my son, and he argued with me at first, and then after a while, he kind of saw what I was saying, but to me, this album is a referendum of what's wrong with the industry, because it feels like, and I think the reason you have so many polarizing opposites where people either love it or they hate it is because, to me, that signals that it's how much people are looking for something, man. It's like being lost in the wilderness and you're looking for something. You know what I mean? It's like, here come Kendrick with his artistry and doing something that's different from what everybody else is doing. So I think he's winning on the strength of that. And there's nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong. But where I think people are going above and beyond with it, oh, it's the greatest album in the past 20 years and all that, I think that's cats clinging so hard to wanting something of this new generation, this new style of hip-hop or whatever you want to call it, to cling to, that they give it these titles, man, these classic and this and that. And it's instead of just digesting it, and it's good music. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? It's okay with having 7 out of 10 stars. You know what I mean? It's better than having 4 or 3, which is what a lot of these niggas nowadays is. So I think what it says to me is that the fans and the industry as a whole is at a place, man, where it's almost like we all lost. I mean, looking for something to hold on to, some type of hope for the music. And here comes Kendrick. And we already looked at him as being this next dude. So when he does this different shit, I think it kind of plays into that, and people get caught up in that vacuum, either one way or the other. Because for me, when I listen to it, I hear some good music. I don't hear classic, groundbreaking shit. The stuff that I don't care for, like the spoken word stuff. I mean, again, I'm the type of person, man, I can get past my own likes and dislikes and just take it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? If I like the rhythms and I like the melodies, or I like a flow, or I like the content, I'll take that and I'll digest it and I'll give a cat their just due. But when I put all of them into a pot, there's like, I gotta pick and choose. For me personally, I gotta pick and choose the certain things that I do like out of the album. It's not like I'm getting all of those things out of every song, out of the whole album. So right. I think it's just the right place, right time, man. And it's not the shit on the album. I'm not saying it's whack nobody. I'm not saying that. But I just don't think it's anywhere near the level of where people are putting it up to. Like, it's a good album, man. And let's temper all the hype and shit, yo.
Now I'll say this, and Ev, I know me and you gonna go back and forth with this, because the first night we heard it, I think it came out Sunday night. Monday night, I'm going home and I'm talking to Ev, and me and Ev like, man, I don't know about this joint. I'm turning up my stereo in my car. I'm like, listen, man, I'm blasting reggae. I ain't even listening to Kendrick or nothing like that. You know what I mean? But yo, I'll tell you this, Bezo. I agree with you on this front. I think there are people who are out there looking for something to grab onto. I will agree with you on that. But I will say this. This album is fucking incredible, man. I mean,
your opinion, absolutely. Hey, you're definitely entitled to that opinion, but
I mean, yeah.
Like, that's what that takes the other night, 4 times. And I'm saying that I listened to it 4 times since you sent the unedited version. I'm listening to that shit, not the edited version. Because my son told me, like, nah, listen to the unedited and judge it off of that. Like, okay, I don't see why the curses should make a difference, but all right, no doubt.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this. Here's the thing. If you was trying to school somebody, and this is one of my beefs when the clean version came out and Cass was judging it off of that, I'm like, if you wanted to put if you was with your man and you like, yo, you remember Coming to America with such and such? And he was like, yo, I ain't never seen Coming to America. And you wanted to school that nigga to Coming to America, you ain't gonna put the BET version on, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's a little
right. So yeah, I mean, I was watching Bad Boy 2 the other day. I ain't know what channel was on. As soon as I heard the edit, I was like, oh, no, we turn this.
I know what you're saying. I think that's a little bit of afterthought. I know what you're saying.
Being a lie. You ain't gonna put nobody on the boomerang with the BET version. So the curses do mean a lot, you know. But so Ed, what do you think about the joint, man? 2 weeks in.
Actually, it didn't take 2 weeks. So this is what happened with me. The first time I listened to it, because I had been talking about this album and waiting to see what this cat was going to do. And when I heard it the first time, of course, I said, it was like, I really got to give it a better listen. I'm listening to it while I'm working. And the thing that got me, the thing that I noticed was, after that first listen to half the album, I didn't really get pulled to go home and put it back on. So we're talking Monday night, Tuesday night. I didn't put it back on until late Wednesday night. I didn't have the urge to do it. But when I put it on, man, I listened to it. And the more I listened to it and I felt it out. And then I went through the whole entire album, listened to it again. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. I think the shit will wind up being a classic. I don't know I think it's too soon to say it's a classic now. Right. But I think it will wind up being a classic. And I also think that the way that hip hop moves in universities and institutions, I think this probably will be an album that they'll still speak of. Right. But my reasons for saying that is, it's not a rap album. Like, my thing is, this is shit. It's like, it's a book. It's some satire in there. There's definitely some hip hop in there, but it's not like a hip hop album. And my thing, I know me and you talked about it, was it's kind of like how when we talk about Chuck D, we don't put Chuck D in the same category when we talk about Nas, when we talk about Rakim. We always like, oh, well, Chuck is on this, he's over here. I think this album is kind of like that. I think it's a beautiful piece of work. I definitely do. I think it's from an interesting perspective. You know, we talking about a cat that just knows what he knows from being where he's at. It wasn't like he went somewhere and got schooled on what to say or how to say it. He went to like the Black nationalist class, nothing like that. He just knows what he knows from his perspective. And I will say it's a LA album. And I feel like if you haven't really been to LA, you might not get it off first rip. Like it may take another 2 or 3 listens before it really pulls in, but it's definitely an LA album. But I think the way he put it together, man, and I think, you know, also think like, you know, this is there's some vulgarity in there without question. And I think, you know, in my first listen, I was like, well, he's spitting a lot of things from a point of inspiration, but does he really have the information behind it? But it's his perspective. But I think, man, this joint is, and I know another thing that we talked about, Kill, is that you have the whole world waiting to see what you're going to do, and you do this. That's huge. That's huge. So for me, I think very much this joint may wind up becoming a classic. Is it one of the dopest albums I've heard? Yeah. I can't say where it falls at. It's my top 10, top 5. I can't say all that right now because it's too soon. But I think whenever I listen to an album and I go back and I listen to it again and I hear stuff I didn't hear the first time, and 2 weeks later I'm still hearing stuff, for me as a lyricist, that sits heavy. It's like, oh, we said what? Wait, let me go back. What did we say? And I've done that so many times with this album. And I don't mean to be long-winded, but my last thing is I've never had that happen to me. I never heard something off first rip, kind of was like, and it was like, well, I always say, let me give it another shot. And usually when I give it another shot and I go back and listen to it, I usually kind of feel the same way. But this one, when I really was able to really like tune into what he was saying or what he was doing, yeah, man, I was pretty blown away by it. So yeah, I think it's a real dope album.
And Ev, I think just to co-sign on what Ev was saying, I haven't had an album. Like, number one, let me say this. I saw a tweet and it said something like, Kendrick Lamar, you need the internet, Google, Rap Genius, you know, everything to kind of digest this album. And that's how I feel. Like, I was like, I really got to give this a listen, because I don't think a lot of people actually know how incredible and how deep this album is. You know what I'm saying? Like, this album is almost, and that's why I love Good Kid, M.A.A.d City so much, because it was an album that told a story. You know, so I honestly didn't know how I wasn't really hype about the new Kendrick, because I wasn't a big Section 80 fan. I was like, it's cool, you know, and I was like, well, Good Kid, M.A.A.d City, I loved it because it told a story. I don't know how this is going to be if he's telling a story. And first listen, I'm confused. I'm like, yo, like, niggas doing spoken word. Who the fuck is Lucy? What's going on? He got the song, you know, how much $1 costs, and he's talking about, you know, he sounding real shitty towards bums. Like, yo, what the fuck? You know, so I literally Googled, like, what the fuck is this album about? Like, who is Lucy and all this? And then to find out that he's talking about Lucifer, and this whole album is like a battle between good and evil, and how the song You is kind of like a polar opposite of the song I, and how I is saying all the positive things, but You is talking about all the negative things, and him having to fight a war within himself. And, you know, like you said, Ev, on the political stuff, like even on, you know, For Free, when he's like, and the chick is like, I'm gonna get my Uncle Sam to come whoop your ass. Like, there's so much deep stuff in this album that I don't really think cats are grasping. And I think this is one of the things that always used to happen at my job. We had this lady at my job, white lady Mary. Every meeting, she would always say a word that I did not know. And I would be like, hold tight, Mary. What is that word? And everybody would laugh. And I'd be like, y'all can laugh, but none of y'all niggas know the word either. I'm gonna be the one to be like, what's the word? I don't think most people even get this album. I think some of the people, like you said, Bezo, I think some of the people who are saying it's a classic, people were saying this was a classic by 9 a.m. the next morning. And I'm like, yo, my dude, the album came out at midnight. It's 80 minutes. That's like an hour and a half. Like, did you not go to sleep? Like, how did you listen to this album 13 times? And so I don't even think people get, man, this is just, to me, an incredible piece of art right here. Like, I won't go all the way. And to me, Ev, you know what? I will say this is hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me.
No. I didn't say it was hip hop. I said it's not a rap.
Oh, right. Well, not a rap album. I just think that. And I think the thing is that it all comes together. Like, reading the liner notes and seeing, like, you know, Terrence Martin is on this album, Robert Glasper, like, it's really like, this reminds me of a jazz album. Like, you know, that it comes in suites, and, you know, this is this is an incredible piece of music right here. And me and Ed was talking about, I agree with you, man. I think, yeah, and Kendrick has said this. They're like, this will be talked about the same way Pac is talked about in Harvard and Yale circles. I do believe that one day we will look at this album and really get into what I mean in complexion, how he's talking about like this is a slave master and he's talking to the woman. It's just so deep, and most folk don't, especially young folk, don't want to go this deep. You know, they want to hear an album, you want to watch a movie, you want to see the Fast and Furious, see a whole bunch of action scenes, and that's it. You know, and I feel like that's the bulk of the rap community nowadays. They don't want to take 2 weeks to digest the album. They want to take the, you know, first bite of a steak and be like, this is the best steak I ever ate. Whereas I'm like, this is an album you really got to sit down and there have been so many people who I've schooled on this album, like, yo, I didn't know that was what that was about, or how much $1 costs. I didn't know that he's talking from the perspective that the bum is God. And that he's basically, you know, saying, nah, I ain't giving you no money, you know, like I'm a rapper, you know, I'm stepping out my luxury car, and God is trying to school him. Like, all that stuff just, you know, when you really look at this album, man, every time I listen to it, you know, I have a different new song every day. Like right now I'm loving You. Like just the beginning, that Loving You is Complicated, just that beginning jazz part alone, before he even gets to the hotel to be going at himself and his conscience, just that jazz part alone is incredible. But I see you want to chime in, B. What's up?
Yeah, because I'm listening to y'all waxing poetic about the magnificence of the album. You know,
poetic,
Now, I did get the reference to Lucy, because I'll be honest, when I first heard him saying Lucy, I was thinking of the you know, they did that woman's bones they found, millions, you know, they say it's like the oldest dating human being. That's what I first thought he was talking about. But then I listened to it a little bit clearer. I'm like, oh, he's talking about Lucy. He's talking about, oh, that's okay. But one thing I have not heard any of y'all say is, yo, that rhythm or whatever, that hook on this joint, that beat on that joint, everything y'all have said about how dope it is about the concepts, is about the this, is about the that. Because when I listen to it, the first thing I'm listening to when I listen to any album is the rhythms. You know what I'm saying? Not just the drums and not just the vocals, but the rhythms. And that's important because vocals in a flow, if a lyricist has an actual flow, that becomes a part of the rhythm. So that's the first thing I'm listening for. And my first listen, I heard a couple that kind of drew me in. The rest was like, all right, I can do without, whatever. And then when I went back, I said, all right, now let me actually listen to what the cat's saying, because I know, listening to Kendrick enough, I know this cat actually does have a message. From the first time I heard of the cat, and I was talking about with my son, when he was like, this is about 5 years ago. It wasn't even like a mixtape album, but he's talking about some chick and her pregnant and dealing with all her shit. So I know he's a deeper artist, much deeper than 90% of these new school rappers that are out nowadays. And again, there's beauty in that. I love that. That's great. We need that shit in hip hop, no doubt. But when I go back and listen to it some more, it's like, okay, he's saying some ill shit, no doubt. He's saying some deep stuff. He's not just coming straight forward with it. He's making points. He's being eloquent with his speech and all that. But what about the music am I loving in this album? And there is not, for me personally, I did not hear enough songs that just, like when I first hit M.A.A.d and Infamous and 36 Chambers and whatever other album you want to talk about, one of the first things that draw me in is them rhythms. Whether it's the beat, the sample, or whatever. It's the music that sucks me in. And that's how I get in, and that's how I sit in. Like we did the show about, you know, what's the lyrics or the beat. And we talked about M.A.A.d, the Infamous, and I said like, damn, I want to say Prodigy, I want to say the rhymes, but truth be told, I didn't know Prodigy was going to be that nice until I listened to the album. It was the beats that got me first. So that's always what's going to pull me into anybody's album, whether it's Prince's new album or this Kendrick shit.
Well, let me ask these other questions first. Well, because I know you love the beat. So, what did you like about the beats?
For me?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, from when it first started, like I could hear the Parliament Funkadelic in this album. You know what I'm saying? I can hear. To me, the funny thing about it, it kind of feels like, and it sounds weird, and I told you this before, Kill. It feels like it even could be a D'Angelo album the way it sounds to me. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, King Kunta, I think that beat, that's like we was talking, that's like the most West Coast beat we ever heard Kendrick do. Like, I love that.
That's the one.
That quick, yeah, that one, yeah.
Yeah, like the beat, the bass line on that, all that. Like, I love not all the beats that I love, but a lot of them I do. Like, right now, I've been playing on repeat. I like the Mama joint. Like, this something about this joint is crazy.
I call that some cosmic slop funk right there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I mean, yeah, like I'm with Bezo. Like, you know what I'm saying? If the beats ain't right, like, I'm not gonna love you. I don't care how nice you are, but you know what I'm saying? If you flowing over some garbage, I can't rock with it. But I love the music too. And like I said, I don't digest the lyrics right away. I digest the entire thing. So, and the music is the main component of that. And that's I love the music. It was different. It wasn't what I expected. But like even Ev said, you know what I'm saying? It's a little different. It has rap in there, but it's not so much a rap album. And that's why I felt like his main point was to let his artistry take over as opposed to just being a nice MC.
Right. And Ev, you was about to say something?
I just had a quick question for Bezo. Yo, what was the last hip hop album that you liked that didn't have any boom didn't have any boom bap on it?
Shit, J. Cole. I guess would be the quickest on top of the head. I mean, J. Cole, I liked some of the joint. I didn't like, again, I wasn't head over heels. This is an incredible album, but again, going into it in terms of my preference between the two of them lyrically, I prefer, personally, I think J. Cole is nicer lyrically than Kendrick. But Kendrick, I think, gets more, what's the word I'm looking for, man? Because I don't want to put down J. Cole, because I think J. Cole is more like, when he's getting deep with something, it's like straight ahead. You know what I mean? Whereas that whole Lucifer song, let's say if it was J. Cole, I think it would have just been him straight talking about Lucifer. You wouldn't have had to know and understand that's who he's talking about.
Not even really speaking lyrically. I guess I was just asking about the beats because I know like this particular I was gonna say there's no boom bap on this album.
Yeah, I'm thinking again, I'm okay with that. I don't need boom bap in order for the shit to be dope. If it's dope, it's dope. You know what I'm saying? I have a preference, but I like music. You know what I'm saying? I'm in here listening every day, all day with my daughter to Motown shit, fucking folk, jazz, all type of crazy shit. So I don't have if it ain't this, I can't rock with it. If it's dope, it's dope. It don't matter what the rhythm. I've heard some trap music stuff. I'm not a fan of trap music, but I've heard some trap joints that, that shit is dope. You know what I mean? Like, I hate Bobby Shmurda lyrically, but that beat on Hot Nigga is dope. I'll be the first to admit that. I can't stand what he's rhyming about. I think he's garbage as an MC lyrically, but musically, that beat is hard as hell. So it's not like, well, it ain't boom bap, so I can't, no, it ain't like that. But I'll tell you a quick story. The other day, I met this cat. He's a producer, nigga. He worked on he did a bunch of stuff with Herbie Lovebug. He worked on Push It and What a Man for Salt and Pepper. Just like those are like the most popular joints that he did that cats know. And he was actually in Sam Ash in the music store, returning some dope speakers. And he's like, yeah, they too good. I'm like, that's what made me stop. I'm like, oh, did you just say the speakers are too good? He's like, yeah, man. He said, 'cause what I'm doing is I got my Genelecs, I got my NS10s, I got my Tenoys, but these cats nowadays ain't listening to music in plus system. They're not listening. Maybe they got a Bose system in their whip, but these cats listen to in the earbuds. He said, so I need some dumbed down speakers to listen to reference. So when I make this shit, I know what it's going to sound like in some crappy speakers. And that started a whole conversation. And he was like, and he was saying, he's like, I came from that era, and he plays keys and guitar and all that shit. But he was like, yo, everything is too electronic now. It's like everything is thinned out. And we didn't talk about Kendrick's album per se, but we did talk about, this was popular nowadays. And neither one of us threw out any particular artist, but his feeling was, and I agree with him, and we kind of, this whole conversation sparked over this, that it's like, he's like, yo, the fans nowadays, and it takes back to what I said originally about people searching so hard for something to grasp onto, that he was like, yo, right now, the music is so thin, you got at least one, maybe two generations of hip-hop fans that sonically, their ears have never been trained to organic sounds. Yeah. They don't fuck with the Motown, because even for us, we grew up on listening to our mothers and fathers playing Stevie and Motown and jazz and all that. So we sonically grew up on, our ears are trained to know sample music, somebody playing live, and somebody playing some electronic shit. We all know that because we grew up in that shit. But there's a generation, at least one, if not two generations of fans that don't know that shit. That their whole knowledge sonically of music is electronic shit. Maybe there's some sampling, but a lot of it, and even the organic playing shit, you're talking about like R. Kelly, you know what I mean, with basic ACE chords on every goddamn song and shit like that. So what he was saying, and the point I'm getting at is that I think what happened is Kendrick's album, because of how he is and who he is in his artistry, and again, please don't anybody take this like disrespecting his artistry, because I think that's his best part. I love that about him, and I think that hip-hop needs more cats. If you want to follow some trends, people, hip-hop artists, follow what Kendrick is doing in terms of being himself, because that more than anything is what hip-hop is missing. But I think that what this album, that's why I said it's a referendum on the state of music right now, that it can have so much of an impact on people, but then you get another crowd of people that just like, yo, it's garbage, it's trash.
But see, I think
that the fans, the fans, I think just are not, I don't want to say educated, because that sounds disrespectful, but I think unfortunately they have not been privileged enough to sonically and in terms of tones to identify good quality.
But you got Robert Glasper on it. I mean, you got musicians that actually play on that album.
And that's what I was going to say. To me,
I understand that. But like you said, with they got the Fallen and Funkadelic. Okay, been there, done that, no doubt. That's always been the signature Cali sample sound coming out with the Parliament shit. So that ain't nothing new. It's still cool. It ain't whack. But again, I'm not saying it's a whack album. But I'm just saying that.
And again, let's do this. We're not trying to convince you. We get it. We get it. We're not trying to convince you. It's just like we said. For me, the music is incredible too. Like, you've got some of the dopest jazz musicians in the world on this album right here. Like, straight up and down, like some of the dopest. But to be honest, I really didn't think you would dig it, because I know you ain't a big Outkast fan. And to me,
that's not totally true. That's not totally true. You
said you have never heard a whole album.
I said I never purchased an Outkast album. I said the same thing about the Roots. I never purchased the Outkast. I've only purchased one Tupac album. But
what I'm saying is, have you digested all of Aquemini?
Huh?
Have you digested all of Aquemini?
Yes. I mean, not in the past 5 years, but that shit was out. Absolutely, I listened to it, no doubt.
Okay. Well, like I said, just for me, it seems like I kind of feel like I know your bag. Like, I know you're heavy Wu, you're heavy Mob, you're not heavy Outkast, heavy Roots type thing. So to me, the people who don't like this album, I get it. It's not like I'm like scratching my head like, oh my God.
It's not like I don't like it. I'm not saying I don't like it.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people who are like, this album is trash. Because I think it's one of those things where, like with Guru, like when Guru said he did Jazzmatazz, it was like, I'm doing this away from Gangstar, because I know what the Gangstar fans want to hear. And if you buy Jazzmatazz expecting to hear Gangstar, you're going to be disappointed. So I love the fact that he gave us that. He gave us the memo. This is jazz. Here's Gangstar. This is separated. So I know a lot of hardcore Gangstar Guru fans who never heard a Jazzmatazz album because they didn't want to get down with the jazz. They wanted Guru over Premier. So I get how some people wanted Kendrick over certain kind of beats, but I mean, I just wasn't finished. I was talking too long for what I thought, but my thing, I was just going into the rhyming part, but musically, I love this album. Like I said, the intro of You, that jazz, I mean, the 4-3, even with the spoken word, like, you've got some of the
that one song, the intro of that song, yes, I love it. I love the intro.
I mean, I'm looking at Institutionalized with Bilal the Snoop. That beat is crazy to me. These Walls, all right, Jesus Christ, like sonically, I play that shit in my system. That thing is bananas.
It just doesn't do it for me, Sam.
I mean, yeah, I feel you.
It's okay, but it ain't. I'll listen to the next song.
Good politics. How much of that, like, to me, I'm good beat wise with this album, and to me, it's one of those things where, like F said, I haven't had a time when I'm texting this nigga like 1 in the morning, like, yo, you up? He like, yeah. I'm like, yo, did you hear this shit on Hood Politics where this nigga said I'm the only nigga next to Snoop that can push the button, had a whole coast on standby? Like, that had went over my head to be like, yo, I forgot about that control verse, and New York niggas was getting at him. He was like, yo, we was about to have a whole East Coast, West Coast war again. But I told him, you too sensitive. Like, that shit is crazy. Like, this dude said, you too sensitive. Like, don't set trip. Like, that's some old dog. Don't set trip off them niggas. Yo, we ain't gonna set no war. I just haven't had this feeling about an album in years, where I could just be like, yo, F, did you hear? And yo, did you, like, I can't even, like, whenever I asked you when this last boom bap, I can't tell you the last time I had this type of feeling about an album where I could go back and every day I get a different favorite song. And I don't know, man. I love the joint, man. I love the joint.
I love it. This is easily the best rap album I've heard in the past 5 years. I say that.
Yeah.
Off the top, I can't think of another rap album.
I agree with
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. You know what's funny is, you know, people throw around the classic term too fast. The only thing that makes an album classic is time.
Time, exactly. That's why I said you can't say that yet. Yeah.
And like F said, in time, like it has that feeling that this album could be a classic. And more important, that the content of the album is the time when the album came out is what makes it classic too. And this album is so different from what his contemporaries are doing. It's gonna stand out. So 10 years from now, people will be talking about to Pimp A Butterfly and what they was doing when it came out and how it was so different and things like that. So that's what I see for this album.
Yeah, to me, it also reminds me of, like you said earlier, JP, like Black Messiah. Like, Black Messiah had this message behind it. And this album has a message behind it. Whether, like, it's an eye when he's like, yo, you know, the cops want to kill us or whatever like that. And y'all know me, I'm not even big on lyrics, but it was literally like rap genius. Like, let me see what this nigga is saying and let me really give this a chance. But let me go into this because, JP, you brought it up about the classic title. Where do you guys think, and maybe it's like what you touched on, Bezo, like you said, people just looking to grasp onto something and to want to give it that title? Because growing up, I don't remember ever saying something was a classic. You know, I just remember hearing Illmatic and being like, yo, that shit is dope, you know, or, you know, you just give your dude that look like, yo, Strictly Business, like, yo, I don't ever remember hearing myself being like, yo, Into the Stage is a classic. You know what I mean? It's like, and I don't know if it was that 5 mic source thing. And then my second question for y'all. So the first question is, where do you think that people just instantly wanting to call it a classic comes from? And then two, like, I hear you, Evan, JP, saying that it takes time, but do you think there are albums like with The Source? I mean, we all grew up on that, being able to give something 5 mics when it came out. Like The Source being able to give Illmatic and Low End Theory 5 mics when they came out. Do you think that's legit? So Nick, you tell me, where do you think the Hoopla 5 mics, you know, classic albums in the first 24 hours is coming from? Then two, do you think somebody who works for Rolling Stone, XXL, reviewing albums can give something 5 mics when it comes out?
I mean, they can. I don't agree with it, but, you know, people want to be the first to say something is classic. So they like the Kendrick, the reviews were up like in a few days. It's like you hadn't sat and digested the album because you got it when everybody else got it. And he getting like 4.5 stars on Rolling Stone. You know what I'm saying? But like, I think The Source did start it with the 5 mic thing, but speaking of The Source, I stopped fucking with The Source when they gave The Shining, was it 3 mics?
Oh yeah,
2.5 mics. When they did that, y'all lost me with that shit. I would read it when like somebody on the cover I like, but other than that, I didn't mess with The Source after that.
I feel you. That was one of the biggest injustices I think ever happened in sports.
That one, and then giving Made Men 4.5.
Oh yeah, you know what that was about.
Benzino, I found that out later. I was like, this nigga here. Yeah. But yeah, you like you said, to me, there's only a handful of classics, like Paid in Full, Public Enemy, Takes a Nation. Those are like universal classics where nobody can deny it. Wow. Then you have like your cult classic, your little personal classic. Like to me, Goody Mob, Soul Food is a classic, but I wouldn't knock somebody for saying that it's not a classic.
Right.
Because it ain't for everybody.
Right. Like you said, it's it's that personal classic.
Right.
You know
Exactly. So,
yeah, all right, JP, what you think about this whole giving stuff 5 mics in the first 2 days?
Yeah. Right now, with the throwing the classic thing around, I think it's just a sign of the times. You know, it has a lot to do with the technology and how fast we absorb music, and it's not about what's now, it's what's next. It's like, oh, okay, I got them, that was good. All right, what's next? What else you got for me? because we get so much music thrown at us, we don't have the time to digest. So now we speed it up. I'm listening to this, I'm listening to this, I'm listening to this, and then you go on to the next thing. So I feel like the technology has forced people to rush the term classic. You know what I'm saying? And when people, review albums that's only been out for a few hours and stuff, well, they trying people to get their sight so they can get them hits and all that, so people can pay attention and all that type of stuff. So I mean, I feel like it's just a sign of the times when people rush that word classic, but I can't fall into that, man. Like, it takes time. When I come back to the album in 5 years, 6, 7 years, and I'm like, yo, this shit's still crazy. Like, that's classic. It's time that makes it classic, nothing else.
Right. What about you, Bezo?
I think it's like I was saying before, man, that, people want something so bad to cling to and be the first. But one thing to keep in mind, though, with these labels and especially like the magazines and all that type of shit, I don't know if all of them do, but a lot of them do get advanced copies. So when the review comes out, you got to keep in mind that they have had a chance more time than the average fan. Now, when the fans come out 2 days after the shit was leaked, and talking about, it's classic. Okay, pump your brakes. But the stuff with the magazines, I don't put much. I never put much anything into even Source when they was the Source with their rating system, because it's all objectionable. It's all subject to one person's opinion. You know what I mean? And as we've gone on, and you get more and more people that have come from outside the culture coming into the culture to listen to it because of the music. I'm not gonna say they're not. They don't have the credentials, but they're paid a job to review albums and to sell magazines. So you got to take what they're saying and doing with a grain of salt nowadays.
But I'll say this, like when you say like the credentials, I was telling to JP, and I think I said this to you too, Ev, it's almost like I wonder, do these all hip hops and all these Two Dope Boys, all the big hip hop sites, are any of these niggas over 40? Like, I feel like if you doing hip hop, you gotta have somebody over 40 on your staff. Like, maybe you didn't have to start. It's not your site, but you need an you need an advisory board. You need somebody over 40 to be like, because it's hard for somebody who's 28 to say this is Kendrick Lamar's "It Takes a Nation," because you wasn't out when "It Takes a Nation" dropped. And I feel like with music, like I always say, you kind of have to be there to be a part of it. I can give a kid M.A.A.d today, but he's not going to get the same feeling we got. And I could read book on Marvin, I could listening to what's going on 50 times is not going to have the effect on me that it had on our parents.
Right.
So that's the thing too. So I do think there do need to be some credentials, because it's like when I'm online and everybody who runs this site is like 19 and 20, but you trying to talk deep with it, it's like, come on, my G, like you wasn't even born when M.A.A.d came out, But what do you think about this whole classic thing, Al?
I think that when you talk about classic, I think it definitely takes time before you can entitle something classic. I think the thing with hip hop though, because it's still as far as a genre, it's still a young music, still very young. So I mean, I don't know. It makes me think, like, when did we start calling Illmatic a classic? Like, so I don't know what that turnaround time is. Like from '94, was we saying it at 2004 that Illmatic was a classic? So I think about those.
What was your feelings when Illmatic first dropped? What were your feelings about it?
I thought it was a banger. I thought it was a banger, top to bottom, all the way through. I remember just me and my man, actually Classic. My man Classic came through and we just listened to it and we just like analyzed that whole fucking album. It was. I think it was just.
Now, Ev, let me ask you something right there, because y'all, when y'all was talking before about how many times you listened to it, about the whatever amount of times, and you got this out of it. Because I remember when we talked about Main Ingredient a while back, last year, or whatever, and I remember talking about how like me and Shy listened to it. We went and copped it and rode back to Morgan, chatting and whip and listened to it, digested it, took it in, but it wasn't like when I heard all them albums you just mentioned, Illmatic, whatever, Infamous, and fucking Ready to Die, all this and that. I didn't need 5 or 6 times to love the album. Soon as I heard Represent, soon as I heard Sit in the Park, soon as I heard the Eye for an Eye, the shit was dope. And on those albums, there was never debate. Now, we might not have used the term classic. Right. It might have been 5 mics back then because the Source or whatever might have been the more relevant term we used. But I do recall, though, the debate was, what's the dopest song? It was never a question of is it a dope enough, is it a crazy dope album or not? It was, what's the dopest song on the album? Was the debate I had with a lot of cats over Illmatic, and it was like, nah, that shit right there ain't fucking with this song. You crazy, that joint. So that's my point, like with the music nowadays. And I'm not speaking about just Kendrick particular, but, you know, I'm talking in general terms that, you know, that's part of what I'm saying about the music, man. That,
wait, was you asking me a question?
Yeah, that's like, when you first heard Illmatic in those albums, did it take 4 or 5 times for you to love the album?
Well, no, but that doesn't take anything away from Kendrick's album, because like I said in the beginning, this is not a regular rap album. This is like, let me finish.
The only reason I brought that up is that y'all was saying, I think you and Kill had mentioned about, you know, you got to listen to it X amount of time.
No. But I'll tell you why. My thing is that, number one, it has a lot of theatrical in it. It has a lot of satire in it. It has a lot of heavy content in it. And, you know, then you have just Kendrick's perspective and his lyrical ability. And you wrap all that up and you serve it to a person. To me, it reminds me of when, like, my wife is a choreographer. So sometimes I'll go and I'll see dance. And I may not necessarily get it all the time. And I might see the same piece 2 or 3 times and then something may click. To me, this album reminds me of that. It's not like anything that, to me, this is why I actually really like it a lot, because it's the whole way that this album itself is put together is just completely different. It's completely different than anything I've heard before. So for me, listen to it again wasn't like I got to convince myself to like it. It was more like, let me plug in. Instead of being at work and moving around and doing this and doing that, I'm hearing him saying a whole lot of things in the background while I'm moving around. Let me actually plug in and really tune into what's going on, because the thing with this album is you can't like, I may hear one of these tracks. Don't get me wrong, I don't love every song on the joint, but I may hear one of the songs like as a single and really be like, but when I hear it as a whole project, I have a different perspective of it.
Right.
And to me, that's what this project is about. It's not by any means, in my opinion, it's not a rap album at all. It's something completely different, and you got to kind of, to me, I had to step in it as if I'm going to see a dance piece, or I'm going to the museum to look at a piece of art and sit and break it down. So yeah, for that point, it's going to be different. But to answer your question, Kill, because I know we got to keep moving. I did want to talk about with the Source. As far as them giving things 5 mics, I can't say I'm necessarily against that, because I don't know if Source was saying that it's a classic, or we were saying that 5 mics meant a classic.
No. That was their thing. 5 mics is a classic.
Yeah, that was
it was like 4
that was their rating.
4 is good, 3 is, you know, so it was.
Well. I mean, with that, then nah. Then you can't. To me, you can't like. I don't know what the time frame is, but I can't listen to something and come back a week or 2 later, or a day or 2 later, and be like, "Yo, it's a classic." Like, it has to sit with me for a while.
You know what though?
I would say this: the Source, when they gave 5 mics, most of the time they were right.
Like, I'll give you.
Not everything.
Again, I don't know all of them, but there was a time frame, like you said, Low End is 5 mics. They got that right. Illmatic was 5 mics. They got that right. So,
but you know what, too? I thought this. I think just time itself. I think because, you know, quote unquote, people's attention span is shorter, so everybody's trying to do things like what JP was saying. Everybody's doing stuff faster. Everything has to be quick. This, and that. And I think because of that, maybe that's why, you know, and it's probably marketing too. You say something is a classic, everybody's gonna go and buy it, and then, like you said, Kill, there's no older people that's sitting on that comes from that culture. So if you got people that's coming from other cultures, like Beezer was talking about, yeah, you're gonna have people that don't have the same perspective of not necessarily breaking albums down the same way that we've always broke albums down.
Right. And I would say this too, even on the same thing like Ed was saying to me, like this album is almost like, you know, this album is like to me, it's almost like The Sixth Sense. You know what I'm saying? Where you watch The Sixth Sense, then at the end of the movie, you're like, oh shit, he was dead the whole time? Like, how did I catch that? You go back and you gotta look at the movie again, and then you like, oh snap, he really wasn't talking to her. And to me, that's what this is like. So like Ed was saying to me, Illmatic was straight in your face. Like, these are just like, I don't have to go watch. I want to go see the new Fast and Furious. I like those movies, you know. I just want to see the speed chases and stuff like that, and stuff blow up. But then other times I'm in the mood for a real movie. I'm in the mood for Usual Suspects or something like that. And I'm sure I'm not gonna have to go back and watch, Fast and Furious to catch something that Vin Diesel said or something slick. But with certain movies, you gotta go back and kind of watch it again and see like, oh, I missed that part. And to me, like Ev said, this was in no way. I mean, B, you know me, y'all all know me. I'm in no way like, oh, I want to be part of the cool crowd, so I'm gonna just keep listening to Kendrick until I love it. No, it was literally like, it took time to digest. Like I said, y'all know me. I'm not lyrics. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, when I first heard Erykah Badu's Bag Lady, I thought it was about homeless people. She was like, my nigga, that ain't about no homeless people. Like, because it was just my first listen. My first listen was, oh, snap, that's dope. Erykah talking about homeless people. I like Erykah. She real peaceful. So it will take me a minute to really get into something and to really understand it. I admitted before, I didn't know Commons I used to love it was about hip-hop at first. It hit me a couple of days later. I'm sure I'm not the only nigga in the world that happened to. Of
course.
But, this is how it was.
His verse though, so I'm kind of looking at you. Side.
Look at it like this. If there's somebody, and probably some of y'all who heard How Much Do a Dollar Cost, who knew what the song was about all along from first listen, right?
Not me.
I did.
See, Ev did. Or the funny thing is, I was out at the sports bar with my man last week, and I was like, yeah, he talking about Lucy. And he was like, oh, Lucifer? I'm like, how the fuck did you know that? Like, I didn't know it was a new drug like Molly. Me and that was going back and forth. Lucy was a white man. Lucy,
I didn't know who Lucy was. I thought Lucy was.
So, to me, like you said, Bezo, I know Kendrick is deep. So it's almost like knowing like an M. Night Shyamalan movie is not going to just be an in-your-face, one-time movie. It's like that's how it was with Kendrick. So that's the reason why I was like, I'm going to give this time. I don't think with a Nas album I have to give it time. And that's not shitting on Nas, but I just know Nas is a more in-your-face, this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't have to listen to Daughters 20 times to know he's talking about his daughter. Or I don't have to listen to, Queen's Story to know he's talking about niggas in Queens. But for something like this, I do. But let me say this. With the way cats are dropping music now, surprise albums are just coming out the woodwork. I was talking to Ev. Supposedly, Jay-Z and Beyonce got an album that's supposed to come out Sunday on Jay-Z's new streaming service that you got to pay like $20 a month for, and that's going to be the only place where you can get it. It's not going to be on iTunes. How do y'all feel about music just dropping out of nowhere? Do y'all like that? Do you like just waking up one day and there's a Drake album out, and there's a Kendrick, or there's a D'Angelo? Or did you like the anticipation of hearing a single and knowing it's coming and things like that? What you think about that, Nick?
I mean, as far as the times now, it don't really matter because, like with iTunes, you basically hear the artist making the album because they stream so much stuff throughout the making of the album. It's not like, y'all are a little older than me. Back in the day, you might have got 2 songs prior to the album, but you didn't hear nothing else until you got that album. So it's that anticipation. Like, I remember we had a college radio station in Georgia, and they played Carmel City off Main Ingredient. Like the Saturday before the album would drop, they would play some album cuts. I was like, oh shit, I gotta get this record. But that was like 2 days before the album dropped. Now, if Pete and CL was making an album now, you would have been heard those tracks. So by the time you get an album, you done heard half the damn album already.
Right.
So I don't care now, honestly, because the anticipation ain't like it was back in the day.
Yeah, you're right. I kind of peeped that with Big Boy's first album. It came with like 6 videos already on it. I'm like, damn, I can't look forward to a new video drop. He done gave me everything. It's like, here's everything. Whereas back in the day, you hear Check the Rhyme, and then you get the album, then you see Scenario, you get the remix, you see videos and everything. So now I think, what about you, JP? What you think about music just dropping out of nowhere?
Most people can do that. Like, it makes sense for a lot of people to do that, like your Jay-Z's, like your Drakes and Beyonce or whatever, because in terms of who they are, people are gonna go out and buy it and get it or whatever. But I think certain artists still need that anticipation, because ain't nobody necessarily checking for certain artists right there. Kendrick, he could have did it because the anticipation was so big. You know what I'm saying? But most artists need that first couple of songs, throw that songs out and see if people feel it or whatever. So, because if you got that right song, get people excited about the album, then it makes sense. But if you're already established and you got a big following and dropping like you might as well. You might as well, because it's gonna get leaked at some point anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Because half the time, I remember back in the day, it was pushing albums back. Then we got to a point where we was pushing them forward because they were leaked, and it was like, all right, we gotta get some money out of this. So just ironic how the times are. What you think about that, Episdoe?
I mean, honestly, I don't really care. I mean, it's
These are like the old grumpy band today. The old grumpy band with the bucket hat.
What it is like, again, I think it's just a state of the music. You know what I mean? It's like the hype machine in terms of turning out good artists and good music. It ain't what it used to be. Everybody's been hyped up and disappointed for so many years now in music that it's like now the artist got to sneak attack you with an album. Like what Drake did, I think around All-Star Weekend or whatever, when other people were like having big parties and stuff to promote their album. You know, Drake dropped his on everybody at All-Star Weekend to try to sneak attack everyone. You know what I mean? That almost becomes the hype. Is you just, oh shit, there's an album out. Because they want to see how quick everybody runs to their laptops or whatever and tries to download the music. I mean, it's just it's the same thing. It's just a different way of going about promoting shit. It really is. It's just a whole different way. It's trying to be different and trying to be creative. And one thing I do think it signifies is a little bit more control and power that the artists are wielding. You know, because you're not seeing Joe Schmo from around the corner who's trying to come out, who's trying to blow up. You might know of him, but now he's trying to blow. That nigga ain't doing it because he can't. You know what I'm saying? Mano ain't just dropping the album on you out of left field. He got to build that shit up. That's why Drake and Jay and Beyonce, they can do that shit. You know what I mean? Because they know they already got at least 1 million people they would imagine that's going to at least cop a song or two off the album. So I think it just shows how much control some of these artists are starting to get and trying to take over their music. Like this whole, what you said about Jay and Beyonce, I think that's dope in terms of, for an artist perspective, in terms of how much control they have. Yeah, that's been one of the biggest problems in the industry.
I won't hear the album though if I gotta pay 20 for that.
Yeah, man, I don't know about that shit, but I see the vision. I see what he's trying to do. And it's just about taking control back. Like when Ray Charles went in there and said, "Yo, all right, but y'all gotta give my masters." You know what I mean? That was the first step in an artist, especially a black artist, putting their foot down. Like, yo, I need more control over my music, man. Straight up. I think it's just that. I don't think it's that big a deal. I think it's just another way for some of these established cats to kind of, some shock, like, oh wow, Jay-Z got a new album, let's go get it. And it ain't no big deal.
What about you, Al?
I like it. I think it's cool. I mean, I think it shows a lot of things. It shows the change of the industry. You know, like Bill said, a lot of artists are taking their control back. I think it's an interesting thing with the sign of the times too, because as you have more independent artists coming out, the thing back in the day with going independent was you didn't have money for promotion. So because you didn't have money for promotion, you had to find ways of doing it. Now, like, the promotion is actually being cut out of the pie altogether, because cats are just like, well, we're just dropping it, which happens for independent art. Like, it's interesting because it connects like that big time artist with independent artists. Like, independent artists is like, yo, I got 5 people following me. It don't matter if I build up anything. I'm just gonna put it out and let them know that it's out. So I think that's interesting how those two kind of work, but the people in the middle kind of do still need to build up some type of momentum. But I think it's, an interesting thing. Also think that it's kind of like how everything is happening. Like you get House of Cards, you get the whole season. Right. You get Game of Thrones, you get the whole season. It's just like, it's boom. So I think the music industry has kind of taken an interesting stance. And I actually like it. I mean, we've always talked about how, record labels and, record labels have been doing dirt for the longest time, and now they're becoming obsolete. And I think that's just because of people are taking more power, more control over what they want to do and how they want to do it. So, I mean, I appreciate it. If I get a whole album, especially honestly, I thought that the Beyonce shit was genius. Like, you put out an album and a video for damn near every song, or if not, actually for every song. Mm-hmm. I mean, it takes money to do that. Right. But that shit was genius, and it didn't leak before you put it out. Like, how the hell you do that? But I mean, I think it's these different ways of music is changing. The industry is changing. Everything is changing, and I kind of like the change. I'm intrigued what's going to pop off of that. Like the whole thing with Beyonce and Jay-Z. I actually researched that joint, and the site that they're going to is one that's conflicting with Spotify. The joint called To Dial, but they got high fidelity sound. So now I was like, wait, now, and the sound sounds different. It is actually a little bit more higher fidelity. I'm like, oh shit. So it's like, I think people have been trying to find a way for a while with the whole like the destruction of the record label. I think now people are actually starting to try different things and get some stuff for world and see what happens. So I'm with it.
Yeah, and I think for me too, I'm like you. I dig it, man. For me, I love just being able to turn on a computer one day and there's a whole album out. You know what I'm saying? Like with D'Angelo. You know, I didn't want to believe it with D because I had been down the street too many times with waiting on the next D'Angelo to come out. You always get a tweet request every other year, like we here, we doing this, anything like that. But you know, my man sent me the picture of the CD, and I was like, all right, maybe. And then I heard of the listening party. So I mean, I dig it. I mean, I love being surprised. And like you said, Ev, with the Beyonce album, I mean, people are shocked I love it so much, but I love the music of the album. That's definitely my favorite Beyonce album. You know what I mean? And I love the way he dropped it. What you say, Nick?
No, it's the same here. That's her best overall album. Yeah, I agree.
And I felt like it was almost like she was an MC. Like, yo, like I heard the label was beefing and didn't want to put it out. She was like, fuck it, I'm going to just drop it. And to me, this is the most that I felt like this is Beyonce. This is the first time in life I've liked the Jay-Z Beyonce collab. All the other ones I always felt forced, but Drunk in Love was dope. But too, like you were saying, that I think it's almost like with Jordans and Air Force Ones. They need no promotion. Like it's literally just like these are classics. Like you never open a magazine and saw an ad for Jordans or Air Force Ones. It's like we just gonna drop them and y'all just gonna spend the night out in the cold to get them. You know. And that's what it is with like you said, with certain artists, like Bezo said, with the Jays, the Beyoncés. I'm sure Mary could do it. You know, any artist of that caliber could just say, hey, I'm going to drop it, and I know y'all going to buy it, and I'm sure that's saving them a rack of money in promotions and a rack of money.
But don't get me wrong, I will not be getting the streaming membership for no damn album. I'm not paying $20 a month for some shit that I don't own. That's just, I'm a record collector. That don't work for me. I got to have something, some type of, something to keep with me.
I was about to say, this, you can only stream this shit, right? It doesn't give you.
Yeah, you can only stream it. Yeah, which means after your membership, like if you don't get your membership, all your music is gone. Like what?
You got to actually like record that shit on, burn it to a CD or some shit.
Yeah, that's too much. Yeah, that's a whole lot of work.
That's what me and I was talking about earlier. But I think by us being record collectors and collectors of music, it affects us. But I know the average person kind of enjoys the fact that they don't got to go get a new CD thing that holds 500 CDs and now I need space. That's how I am kind of like with my books. I don't have any room in my crib for really all the books that I have, so they're in my mom's basement in Philly, but I love the iPad because I can have all my books on there, or people love the cloud. And so I think for the average person, they don't mind. Like you said, if it doesn't work for me because I want the album. I'm at Target Saturday night trying to get this Kendrick joint because I just wanted the physical. I had the digital book, I had the music, but I wanted that feeling, and I know I'm a dinosaur like that. I know that
vinyl, man. Is it gonna be vinyl? Does anybody know anything about vinyl for that album?
Haven't heard anything yet.
I mean, like I said, I doubt it.
Play with rap albums though.
Yeah, and I doubt it because DJs, they only used to press it up for DJs. Like, you know, they would always send us vinyl up at EAA, but now when you got Serato, I mean, nobody uses vinyl anymore. So, you know, I think it's kind of just like, you know, if they felt like, I think they felt it was a market for Black Messiah to have a vinyl out. I don't know if, you know, they feel like there's a market for this, but, you know, another dope ep, y'all. Yo, Nick, good looking out for sitting there with us, fam.
Hey, like I said, I'm a big fan. I love getting knowledge from the older heads. Always been that way. I appreciate the show. Y'all keep up the good work.
Much respect.
Good looking. Y'all know me. Shameless plug. Shameless plug. I did an interview with my homegirl, Angela Wharton, about her organization, Phoenix Ministries. It's an organization that deals with sexual assault survivors. She was raped twice. She's telling her story to bring awareness to this. I know this is a hip hop show, but you know, at this point in time, we're older people. We got kids. We're married. You know, give it a listen. Check it out. Go to willmakebeatsforfood.com. Check it out because, you know, I got her and my man D, her husband, and how she told him about the situation, how it affected their marriage. Because at the end of the day, like I said, we're all getting old, we're getting married, we're in good relationships, we're having kids, and these are issues that prayerfully your daughters and your nieces or your sisters won't have to go through. But there's a lot of people out there who have been sexually assaulted and haven't said anything, you know. So I know it's not hip hop, but please check it out, give it a listen. We got some jokes in there. Y'all know me. I'm going to bring hip-hop into it some way, somehow, but check it out. But as always, youtube.com/live from the bench. Check out all the episodes. Leave a comment. Subscribers, we're trying to have people sit in with us and chop it up with us. You know, this is y'all show. You know, me and Ab never wanted to do this show just to have it so that we could just watch it. We want other people. And with the feedback y'all give, Beezer, what the dude said, the intro was too long. I did it. You know what I mean? There's no more long intro. So
he loved it, but it's like she was mad long.
You know what I'm saying? And trust me, it took me a long ass time to make them intros. So I felt some kind of way, but he said it's too long, it's too long. So we take the good and the bad. So yo, leave us comments as always. Check us out. Check y'all next week, y'all.
All right.
Cool, fellas. Thanks.